got another commute home for you guys. Car's already a little warmed up. Looking to 51 Fahrenheit, that is. A little bit warmer than usual. Pop this thing in sport mode, and we'll get on to a couple topics. As always, I'm at TheProfosist over on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys have ideas for the Tech Thoughts, commute home, night drive, come up with a name for me too. That'd be helpful. But if you guys have ideas on what I should kind of brain dump into you guys, or talk about, or comment on, throw it down below in the comments, or hit me up, as I said, over on the social medias. I am most active on Twitter. If you want to see me throughout the day, if I find something on the shitter, I'll probably post it there. On to the on-ramp. Just actually on the other side of the road, there's another Mini, a second gen. You guys can't see shit. Now you can see something, probably. I got a car right behind me beaming me in the back of the noggin. With this many cars around, I may have to keep my light off in the car here for now. Let's see if we get past them. But there we go. So something I thought about is possibly live streaming it. Let me know what you guys think. I should have a connection, not a good one or a great one, or I left 5G. We're about to go to maybe 3G plan is where we're going. Alright. Pretty good. Got like car merging on here. It's busier because it's a Friday and I left on time. Normally when I leave, the following person, not for my job, but for another place in the building, comes in after me, so I have to lock up and everything. It takes me a little bit of time. All that stuff. Not the case today, but also because it's a Friday, like you guys have seen in the past videos, I might have one or two cars around me while driving, and I usually blow past. I've 3 semis and 5 cars already here, and there was a Mini on the other side of the road. Exactly, I have like a off-white one, ivory, I don't know what you want to call it, and that was like the same-ish color but from the previous generation. Kind of funny. So topics tonight, we have, and I'll try to remember what I'm telling you, and then go over them. I'd say there's the RAM slots for the sticker on ASRock's RAM slots. That is a big one. I could have told them as soon as I saw some of the YouTubers showing that off, and they're like, oh, well, this is going to be revised for future ones. Like, we're not going to have that sticker on there, or we're going to make it better or something. And you guys cannot see me at all. Beautiful. I could have told you right away that was a horrible idea. At least the type of sticker they had, because with top to bottom, you could tell with how wide it was. It reminded me immediately of the material that, if you've ever seen a pre-built, a lot of the brands will put a big giant sticker over the rear I/O with an arrow that points down to the GPU. Because what we get all the time, just going through the kind of last big-ish city here before we get off the freeway, so I got a little bit of a glimpse of my beautiful, zit-covered face. It's been a bad last couple days with that. I don't know why necessarily. Today with work too, I was just kind of end of the month, so maybe that's why everybody was kind of like, most people weren't even here. So it kind of made work tough. So by the end of the day, I was kind of done. So you guys can't even see me anywhere. That's a car, that little bit in the back there, and you can see my hand because there's ambient lighting in the Mini right here for the center stack. Yeah, so I could have told you right away that was going to peel off. So on all-in-ones, they have this sticker on the back that covers up all the rear I/O, or at least a good bulk of it, and especially the display port and HDMI connectors. The reason for that is if that has integrated video, which all Intel systems did, and remember up until fairly recently, which is past I don't know how many years, but almost 5 years now, for AMD, or a lot of pre-built will cheap out and use an APU, which though it's a Ryzen system, those use laptop cores. They're much less powerful. That's why if you look at the 5700G, it's like weak in the knees compared to everything else. Fine for a laptop, we're trying to save power, not for a desktop. But so that sticker is there to prevent consumers and users from plugging in their monitors into the integrated graphics. That'll still work, but they won't actually be using their dedicated graphics card. So that's why that sticker is there. The thing is, those things are fucking nasty. They're super adhesive-y. They always choose probably because they know it's gonna get peeled off or whatever. It's always the worst sticker that you can think of. It always tears. It always leaves sticky goop residue all over your rear I/O, your I/O shield. Especially if it's the just plain metal one. And you gotta remember, these are OEM pre-built systems. They're just gonna have the cheap, plain, bare metal one. Oh, and it's nasty to get off. And I could tell right away with the ASRock sticker that it was that same kind of sticker. It was to be truthful, it might even be that same sticker, just printed something else on it. My guess is that was something they threw together because they didn't want sorry with the little thing there. They didn't want issues with people having concerns about the boot times, or at least notifying them. Because I can tell you, first boot on even Ryzen can take up to 5 minutes. If you populate all of those DIMMs, and you do not have Ryzen certified memory, like I in my new desktop, I split up my old desktop's 128 gigs into 64 for my main desktop, 32 for the home theater PC, and 32 for the repairs PC. So it's all the same memory. However, that's X99 DDR4. It might be 3200 megahertz, and it's actually G-Skill trying D, and it's fine. And actually, it's really compatible with Ryzen in the end. It wouldn't have even worked on first and second gen, I bet. At least first gen. But I can even run XMP profile on the latest BIOS. You roll that back one or two BIOS, it won't be able to run XMP. Roll back one more, it won't even be able to post. But yeah, toss 4 sticks of that, 64 gigs that are in my soon-to-be new desktop, Anthrax X, as in 10. I thought it'd be funny to have the XX like you have in the old school usernames of the, the early days of the, I don't know if that's Web 1.0 or whatever they want to call it. When I was a wee lad on the internet forums, in Neopets and Gaia Online and that shit, everybody had XXX, star, blah, blah, blah. So I thought it'd be funny to make it, because it's Anthrax 10, 10th version, and it ends in an X. We'll just do double X. People get pulled over. Back when I was driving in the morning, third shift, coming back home, literally every day I would see at least one person in this area getting pulled over. You are fucking stupid if you do not slow down. You should drive the speed limit, or at least relatively within the speed limit. It's just there's always cops. I literally could have pointed you out a cop earlier as we were driving by. It's this sort of area between this small town, it's actually a city, but very small. We just passed through it already. And the one that I said earlier, where it was the bigger one, the last big one, in between here and there, it's don't speed, basically. 3 miles gets pulled over. Well, not like distance, 3 miles an hour over. But yeah, I knew that right away. And what's happening is they're peeling the stickers off and it's leaving all this residue. and it's actually like making boards not work. So ASRock is saying they won't refuse RMAs because of that now. So like they're taking and they will actively replace motherboards for that issue, like the issue of them using a wrong, like, this is something where I almost wish I had like a, I don't know if I can make a business where I'm just like, run it by me. I've seen enough shit nowadays when it comes to this sort of stuff that I'd be like, hey, what the fuck's that sticker? Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's the RAM. How does it unstick? And then they peel it off like after they put it on right away, really easy. I'm like, yeah, bake it on there. Take a heat gun and like put it on there. Try and peel it off like after it cools down. Okay, then oh, that works good. Okay, stick it in your freezer. Pull it out. Don't wait for it to warm up properly. You know, because you guys are wondering that if it's winter and you have electronics outside, you want it to come up to temperature in your house. Like, bring the box in, do not open it unless it's damaged. Then open it, because then you want to make sure everything's okay. But if it's like fine, everything looks fine, and whatever else, and you just got electronics, especially if it has a battery, I know your first instinct is pop it, rip it open, plug it in, and get it charging. No. Especially where I live, with how cold it gets, you want to bring that in the house. Let that box get up to temperature. I bet you, even once it's in there for like multiple hours, you pop it open, and it's still gonna have cold air coming out of it. Just because all day it's been on a truck, it's been maybe on an airplane, it's been on another truck, it's been sitting on your porch. None of those places are heated and cooled. The backside of a UPS truck is the extreme of whatever it was heat and cold that day at all times. It's one or the other. Same for FedEx, same for the Amazon, you know. So bring it in the house, let it acclimate would be the correct term for that. We actually did it with our brand new flooring. Like we have, if you guys follow on Twitter, @TheProfosist, you would have seen that we actually got all new, brand new hardwood floors put in. Well, that wood had to be dropped off a week or two prior. I forget how much time specifically needed. I think it was at least 72 hours. But the wood had to be put in our house, because then it was height of summer. You know, like beginning of August, I want to say, or you know, so very warm out, and our house is AC controlled. So that would have been outside in the heat, and then later on it went into the humidity. I don't think it would have been out during that time. But, yeah, it had to just get, before they could put it in and, like, you know, install it and everything, it had to acclimate to the house. You really should be doing that with your electronics, too. A lot of electronics have operating temperatures, and a lot of the temps that it's sitting outside at or in the van, you know, the delivery van at, are outside of those operating temperatures. So let that stuff warm up or cool down and acclimate to your stuff to your house temperatures before you do it. This is also why I refuse to put my tools in the garage. I am considering getting a temperature controlling our garage in the winter at least. We could even do summer as well. You just get a singular, like we have full house AC. I don't know how easy it would be to expand that into the garage. Otherwise, you just get a singular unit for the garage. You know, like a thing you get for like a single room, essentially. Same thing with the heater. We have gas for the house, you know, like natural gas. You probably just get a natural gas heater in the garage and use that to maintain the garage temperature. And then I would be fine with leaving stuff out there. But it's that heating and cooling, and a lot of times your garage floor will actually feel damp in summer because it's retained the coolness. Because the temp is so high, and then the temp outside goes down, and you actually get like a very thin amount of I don't know if it's like dew, but essentially like the concrete sweating, essentially. So that's why I don't leave my tools out there. You leave your tools out on that, it's like insta rusty. And I had to actually help my dad clean up a bunch of his, because we were gone for a couple weeks when he used to live way out in the country, and I gotta get the foggy boys on. Since it's pretty. Actually, I should have checked the Google. It's fog sign, and I'm definitely hitting it now. Weird thing in the U.S. for international people, you cannot have your fog lights and your brights on in the United States. As soon as you pop your brights on, it turns your fog lights off. At some point for my Mini, I would like to get the driving lights on, because when I'm out here, even driving on this highway, which is split, but only slightly, like it's less than a car width, or about a car width in between the two, like it's double lanes going both ways. In between there's only another car lane. Now, it's not like an actual turn lane. That's about how wide, like there's no separation there. Also on the sides of the road, there isn't any like, fencing or anything for deer and that sort of stuff. So, I'd be interested in getting, just got a message from Squeers, I can't see it from here. You guys are more than an arm length away. I'd be interested in getting like the driving lights, so that when I go brights, I can flick those on too. That's another thing, you can't have driving lights on in the U.S. unless you're using your brights, unless you're not on a road. Like if you're off-roading or on a gravel road or something, you can turn them on whenever. But you can't have additional, like your driving lights on while your normal lights are on. It's only supposed to activate when your brights go on. It's very weird. And unlike Europe, though, here's another thing. Like in Europe, you could like theoretically be fined for driving with your fog lights on when it's not foggy. In the U.S., people never turn their fog lights off, ever. You'll see minivans with them on driving through the city. You'll see, but yeah, it's just like, yeah. Then people will drive like in a very overcast or even rain without any lights on whatsoever, constantly. Like you cannot fucking see them. I've gone way off track here, haven't I? But yeah. So I'd be interested in doing some of those modifications eventually in this car. I plan to keep it as long as I can. From what I've heard, the engines in the third gen Minis have been, because BMW finally went and made one for it, rather than like previously they used that Prince engine. It was French based, I believe. Renault, Peugeot, although like they got it from there. And then later on, this Mini engine went into a bunch of other BMWs. And the third gen Mini platform is also used for BMWs as well, which is kind of interesting because this is like a lower tier platform. Yeah, so that was a big thing for you, is ASRock. I looked at that label and been like, hey, make sure it comes off. Because that is the one thing that I fucking hate stickers, by the way. Like, hate stickers. Always have since I'm a wee lad. I hate and like, as you're a kid, like they'll try and put them on you, or like, kids like stickers, I'm gonna put stickers on you. I'm like, keep that frickin' sticker away from me. I consider that assault. I do collect some stickers. Mooski actually does, but I keep all the case badges and stuff. I've never used them. He also collects cool stickers, but he never puts them on anything. And that is something about that. That's kind of like, there are a few times, especially like skateboard stuff, where I've put stickers on things, and some other stuff where it just felt right, looked good, it's like it matched, or even added something. But it's very rare. Like, I'm not somebody to sticker my entire back of my laptop. I'm not, I literally do not understand bumper stickers. I'm not saying my car needs to be perfect. I rarely wash it. I know I'm a horrible human being. I'm trying to get better about that, but with how my schedules are, like, if I would like to wash my car right now, I couldn't. And so with how I sleep, it's not happened before work. And with how stuff works around here on the weekends, you're not doing it on the weekend unless you want to wait a half hour or more if you're using like a machine thing. And I probably once a year will do it by hand. So it's yeah, that's a me thing. Some Other stuff that's been going on would be Stadia. Stadia is dead. Temp drops. We're down to, remember, we were 51 Fahrenheit at the workplace, right? We're now down to 37. Yeah, Stadia is shut down. I actually thought they announced they shut it down like a year ago. Turns out they hadn't. That was just them announcing like they canceled like their own Stadia studio. Now, personally, like, okay, if Google's canceling like anything relating to Stadia, why I would get the fuck out. Like you kind of knew from the beginning that they were going to kill Stadia, because it launched poorly, mainly because it launched poorly. And I think it was before everybody was kind of ready for it. It sounds like people are getting more and more like now. If they would have launched it around now, it'd be much better off. And if they would have launched like a tweaked product, it's like realistically, like they had all these like restrictions on who could run it, how you could run it, blah 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 blah. Run it on any Chromecast TV or Chromecast 4K, or like NVIDIA Shield or literally anything. Like, why can't I run it on any Chromebook? It definitely didn't originally. Like, you need specific phones, and like it goes through their controller to be better, and because that controller talks right to their service. All this horse shit. They don't. No. Apparently, the tech behind it is good. It, in my opinion, didn't start out that way, but I was not surprised. Like, I was like, oh, is this a thing? I thought they announced about a year ago that they said that in a year it's going to be shut down. I guess not. Apparently everybody was still under the impression it was still going. I was like, I mean, I could dig back, but it really sounds like they announced something big was being shut down for Stadia. I mean, it was like Google's own game studios, or their, like, Google's game studios weren't developing for Stadia anymore. You think about it. If Google isn't developing Stadia games, why would you develop Stadia games? It'd be like Nintendo not supporting the Nintendo. I was surprised to see the Linus Tech Tips Carabiner clip for the backpack thing, and how easily that broke. Like, I didn't know what was going on with that, but then I saw him break it on Lantern, and I'm like, holy fuck, I'm surprised that wasn't caught. Just a little bit of sideways motion, and it breaks. I really don't think that titanium one he showed off, for those wondering, it's like a titanium clip, where the titanium actually bends, for the clipping mechanism. I know he said he didn't like how the wire ones looked, but I use one of those daily on my glasses case, and they worked. You know, actually I use more than one daily. One on my glasses case, and then my keyring, designed by CWNT. I think it's like Chewe and Taylor. They did the pen type A as their like first big thing that I learned about using high-tech ink. They have their own, like, based on that same sort of, like, what it does is it bends the metal and separates it, and because it's like a spring steel, it wants to pop back. It's very reliable. I know Linus said it didn't look good by comparison. Sorry, we gotta do some defrost. Sorry if you guys hear it, but I need to be able to see the road. Kind of how that works while driving. Yeah, the sudden temp drop with the fog is, oh, there's a fucking skunk. Holy shit. Like, that dude was walking in the road and then saw me coming and was very quickly not walking into the road. I did not hit him, guys. He went the other way. Like, he was like, oh, we're going back that way. So I got the foggies on, you know? I can see the sides of the road much better. So I was very surprised at how that broke. I think the smaller one, where it was the single-sided wire clip, that would be the one I would go with. Reliable. Should be pretty sturdy because it's just, the frame is probably either steel or aluminum, and then the spring steel for that little clip. I think that would be the most durable. Also, reasonably priced. When he showed the side-to-side on that titanium, like, it looks cool. It looks premium. It probably feels premium. The Tuck XL knives I use by Tactical Keychains, those clips on there are titanium. And they are, titanium's kind of weird. It is very, very durable until you push it too far. Then it gets stuck. too far. Like, it only has so much memory. Unlike spring steel, whereas spring steel, I think you can control that via tempering. Like, I believe you bring it up. It depends, because springs can go both ways too. You guys know, like, they can be in their unsprung state, and you can press them, and then, or their sprung state, and you can press them, or they can be in their unsprung state, and you stretch them. Both work. But I believe you heat them up or temper them, and then set them in the shape that you want, and then they essentially resist leaving that shape and go back. Spring steel, because of that tempering, also is very hard. Very, very, very hard. I've tried cutting it and drilling it and stuff. I mean, there's other harder things, but like with your standard high-speed steel drill bit, that ain't happening. You're probably wearing that bit out. So it's kind of interesting. Linus Tech Tips recently did, or might have been Short Circuit, one of their sub-channels, recently did a video on the new inclusive. I have no problem with like things actually being inclusive, but it's like the G700 line. I don't even know what line you want to call it. It's called the inclusive line from Logitech. That has G705. Oh, we're back in town already. Okay. This reminds me, on the way to work, I slipped a little bit on the old pedals because I'm wearing sandals again today. Even though it's cold, I put socks in them. I wear Birkenstocks with socks. It's alright. That killed the light there. There was a cherry, Kappa. And I don't know how okay it is to drive with lights on. When I'm by myself at frickin' midnight, it's fine. And you guys can see, I keep my eyes on the road. It's all stone, But yeah. So the G705 is the mouse from that collection. That was the one I was most interested in. Unless you're somebody who really likes Logitech's laptop mice, do not buy it. Do not buy it. And the reason for that would be they literally just prettied up one of their little tiny laptop mice. Like the little mice that you see people using, like, oh, I'm old, I can't use a trackpad, they're way too hard to use, oh. And they like use a little mouse like on the palm rest of their 15-inch laptop, because in the US, the 15-inch laptop is the standard size laptop. 15 inches is too big, guys. Like, I'd prefer 12 if I could find one, but smallest I can go and actually get a graphics card in the dang thing and the proper performance is 13. That's why I got the Razer Blade Stealth lenticular out there. He's got one as well. I think somewhat on my recommendation. So I'm very happy that he's been liking it. That for me is like it has a decent disk CPU, it has and graphics card that can do acceleration. Biggest downside is only 16 gigs RAM, but even Lenovo still comes out with like their new AMD. I forget what it's called. It's like a ThinkPad, but it's not. It's like a fancier ThinkPad, like sleeker, and it's still only 16 gigs RAM for like something that's like $2,000. But yeah, looks like I might be parking on the driveway today. But yeah, I actually found the model of mouse that G705 is based on Logitech's website, and it is. It's just a little tiny laptop mouse. I can always pull her out tomorrow. So yeah, I know we went off on tangents, but that is what we do. If you guys have ever watched the Props Pokemon Polls live streams, you really should. Needless to say, on those, there's not always all that much polls, depending on what's going on. So, hopefully, as always, I'm at TheProfosist, and hope you guys had a good one. Peace.